And we are here with Jason Coyle, president of Chicago Sports Network, which just launched last week. Jason, thanks so much for being here.
Molly, Austin, thanks very much for having me. It's great to be here.
So, first of all, how did launch week go?
Very happy to report that it was smooth, successful. Hats off to our team. Really grateful for everything that they did. Technically, it was smooth. We signed on beautifully. We started with a pre-produced piece that went over really well. Went to a 2-hour studio with Adam Amin, who's actively in the national spotlight this week, really taking everybody through what the Chicago Sports Network stands for, what we have to offer. We introduced a full lineup of Monday through Friday programming, and we introduced those shows remote through the various neighborhoods from Pilsen to the far north side, west side, and everything in between. We spotlighted and each of the pregame shows for each of the teams, and then leading out of that, we had a live Blackhawks game. Everything came across really, really well. We were grateful with a successful launch.
Jason, you got the three teams here. You got the Bulls, you got the Blackhawks, you got the White Sox. Those were on NBC Sports Chicago for such a long time. So I want to talk a little bit about getting carriage for the new network, for Chicago Sports Network. How important was it getting these initial deals done with DirecTV, getting an over-the-air deal done with WJYS?
And RCN Astound as well. Well, distribution is clearly an important component to this. And I think those deals are great in and of themselves. They represent the platforms where our fans need to watch. And everything about the Chicago Sports Network is starts with the fans and putting out a product that really super serves them. So the platforms that you mentioned, the traditional ones like satellite, cable, streaming services, and then introducing free to air, those are important components. The free to air component is the new component as we look to build on top of what legacy RSNs have done in the past. And you look at the city of Chicago and you look at our fan base and you look at our venues and our teams. We're on the west side of Chicago, we're on the south side of Chicago with guaranteed rate. Is really important for us to let our fans know from inception that this is a network for all of Chicago and all of Chicago fans. And that free to air component in HD, we're reaching fans that maybe in the past have been priced out or unable to access our teams and our games. And that was a really important component of how we went to market. We're grateful for DirecTV and their partnership and RCN and their partnership. And certainly we've got more to come. I think they were significant in and of themselves, but it was more significant in terms of our approach overall and being where our fans really desire and prefer to watch us and whatever financial level is right for them.
Jason, you talk about potential deals to come. Got to mention Comcast in some capacity. Where are things there, especially with the 1 million or so subs that Comcast has in the Chicago market, especially with this cliff path that Greg Rigdon from Comcast seems to be angling toward all over the country?
We've been really in a respectful dialogue with Comcast. They're an important part of Chicago, and we definitely look forward to continuing that. I think we've come at things in a very respectful manner, understanding that they have a business to run, that they're facing pressures as well, and that Chicago sports fans are important to them as well. And we've got nothing but respectful dialogue and intentions back. And so we generally feel good, and we're going to continue those conversations and hopefully be able to reach a deal that works for everybody in the near future.
Nothing like a good carriage deal.
Hey, they're great.
Jason, how involved were the Reinsdorf and the Wirtz families in crafting the identity of Chicago Sports Network?
The teams were very involved from inception. And it really started with some of the things that we mentioned before. None of us just wanted to try to continue and sustain, what has been a successful RSN model. Everybody has our eyes open, and we looked at this collectively as an opportunity to reinvent what regional and local sports can mean. And so that started really with the focus on the Chicago sports fan. Everyone was aligned that we had to make this network for all of Chicago. All 77 neighborhoods had to be represented, had to be able to watch. I think the families and the teams really wanted to ground this operation in a Chicago specific execution. So you notice even the name. None of the other regional sports networks around the country take the name of the city first. From the first thing we wanted our fans to hear, Chicago Sports Network. That was really important. So you'll see everything from the content that the fans are watching to the places and the platforms where they can watch it, to the way that we market ourselves and operate. You're going to see the Chicago Sports Network as a citizen of Chicago. The content is designed for Chicago. It's not from out of town. When we bump to break in our games, you will not see the same things that you see at a national game. You're unlikely to see a slice of deep dish pizza. You're unlikely to see Buckingham Fountain. You are unlikely to see Wrigley. This is, if you know, you know. We live in the neighborhoods. We have those values. We sponsor street festivals, little league teams. We have an initiative called Buy Chicago that really represents and supports local Chicago businesses, especially those in the West Side and the South Side, who maybe have not been able to reach the audiences through our platform before. One of our first commercials that we ran was for Southside business, who I dare venture guess has never been on air before. That was all important to the teams and the families. And then I think the last component that you'll see that's exciting is to not just put content on air, not just make it Chicago specific, but to advance the experience that fans really have when engaging with this network. That's in a couple of ways. One of the two most exciting ways is the alignment of the rights, the network, and the venues all working together. So at the United Center here, where I am today, where our primary studio is downstairs, right next to the Michael Jordan statue, we have a glass-walled studio that we've outfitted with a removable wall. That opens into the atrium where 3 million fans a year come and go. So for the pregame for the Bulls and the Blackhawks, you'll see the fans come onto the set and the set move into the fans. And we'll even be bringing some of them onto the set for autographs and pictures. And they'll have this very infused college game day style. That was important to the owners. And then we're taking that same concept to the ballpark. You'll see our studio talent that has been removed before. Now with field view, and the fans and the sponsors will be able to watch the game right alongside these Southside legends and really create an experience that goes beyond where things have been in the past. That all came from that collection of owners, and that was a vision that we all had from the start of, hey, let's build something for these fans, let's show respect, and let's enhance the experience beyond anything that's ever happened before.
77 neighborhoods. I'm not sure I've ever heard of Chicago broken down like that. I'm not a Chicago guy, so very interesting to hear that.
They all matter. You know, you tend to only hear of a couple. And that was something that's very purposeful. You don't necessarily hear of the West Side neighborhoods, South Side neighborhoods. Everyone knows the Lincoln Parks, everyone knows the Gold Coast, and a couple of others. But for us, all 77 matter. And they all share in the championships. They all go through the pain when we lose. They all rejoice when we win. And we really, when you watch the Chicago Sports Network and you see us in action, you will see those neighborhoods represented. It was important to us for everyone to understand that we are more than those neighborhoods that people are familiar with nationally.
A lot of pain for those White Sox neighborhoods this year. Hopefully next year a little better.
Hey, we've got some great stories to tell. We've got a lot of new players and new faces coming up, and it is an opportunity. We've got a brand new original content division here at Chicago Sports Network. We'll be telling the stories. We do. We have a lot of great AA players. We have AAA players, single A players heading to spring training here in a couple months. And we want to be able to tell those stories. And hey, we have an opportunity to start at a certain level and build upon a legacy that certainly includes last year, but has a really proud historic fan base and I think a bright future.
Jason, you also partnered with Standard Media as a partner on this venture. What did that company bring to the table in terms of expertise?
Broadcast and really all sorts of back office, high-end media. So the understanding of the broadcast component of this distribution, overall methodology, how to structure the deals, how to get deals done. We've announced Chicago, but we're going to be in a 5-state area. So we have expanded the footprint of where this network can go to include Iowa, all of downstate Illinois, parts of Wisconsin, parts of Michigan, parts of Indiana. And that includes a dozen plus individual broadcast deals with stations and market. And it's very important for them to lead that and structure them in a way that would also enable us to continue our partnerships with the traditional distributors in a way that works for everyone. They also brought a good amount of back office, FCC licensing, media know-how along those lines.
Jason, it's 2024, so I got to ask you, what are some of the DTC streaming options you're going to have available for Chicago Sports Network?
Absolutely have an app that will be rolling out here in the next couple of weeks and months beyond that as part of our overall distribution footprint. We've talked about satellite, we've talked about cable and streaming and free to air, and certainly direct to consumer is an important part of the distribution landscape. By the time we're done rolling everything out, we fully expect to be in over 1 million homes beyond where we have been traditionally. And D2C is an important component of that. We certainly can do that technologically, and we stand ready to do it. As we finalize all of these distribution deals, we're trying to be respectful to our business partners. We are not looking for people to cut the cord. We are not ready to incentivize everyone to cut the cord. We need to make the platforms available in the right combination that affords our business partners an opportunity to advance their business and allows us to reach the maximum number of fans that we possibly can. So we will be introducing an app here in the weeks ahead, and you'll see it roll out in phases. Direct to consumer is certainly an opportunity and a lever that we could pull if and when that opportunity dictates.
A little bit chaotic in the RSN market right now, but what are your general thoughts on the market as a whole for the MLB, the NHL, and the NBA?
There's a lot going on out there.
That's putting it mildly. That's putting it mildly.
And not to dodge it, but every single market is different. When you look at New York and you look at New England and you look at Kansas City and you look at Florida, Chicago, there are commonalities, but there are specific nuances and differences. And in Chicago, we see this decline of the traditional RSN as an amazing opportunity to increase our reach, to put Chicago first, to build a locally grounded operation, and to enhance the experience through the various ways that we mentioned. And I think if we put out a great product with a lineup that people want to watch, not just put the games on, but build something for the Chicago sports fan, this is an opportunity for us to build an entire network with Chicago-directed, Chicago-focused content. And I think when we put on 24 hours of great Chicago-focused sports content, everything else will take care of itself.
All right, Jason, we'll get you out of here on this. A lot going on, launching a new network, but what is the biggest goal for you in the fourth quarter and into early 2025 with Chicago Sports Network?
It's to create something great. Everything that I talked about, it's just words until we show you. We want to show you the college game day environment. We want to show you a full day of Chicago-focused programming. We want to show you an elite experience for our fans. We want to introduce rewards. We want to introduce our digital product and create excitement. And we want to build the best regional sports operation that there is in the country. That's what we're focused on.
Well, a lot going on. You got the start of the Bulls and the Blackhawks season. When's that first Blackhawks game coming on Chicago Sports Network?
This Friday.
Jason Coyle of Chicago Sports Network, we really appreciate you taking the time. You're also going to be speaking at our Media Innovators Conference next month, talking more about distribution these days for team content, team media. Appreciate you joining the Sports Media Pod.
Thank you so much for having me.